I'm Raythe from RaytheReign.com, and I write gay vampire, shifter, and fantasy romance. One of the ways that I felt the world of vampires in Everdark would feel real was for the vampires to have a religion. Yes, you heard that right. A vampire religion. I was very creative in what I called it. It's simply called the Order. The reason for that name is because the vampire religion truly orders vampire society from their creation to the current state of their social order. See? Order. There you go. Giving the vampires a religion really had them feeling real for me because I think it is natural, even for mortal beings who drink blood, to want to answer the questions, where do we come from? Why are we here? And is there something more? A lot of the time, vampires, such as in the Bram Stoker's Dracula movie starring Keanu Reeves, are seen in opposition to the Judeo-Christian God. In that version of the Dracula tale, Dracula curses God because of the death of his wife. The devil presumably grants him his wish to become a blight upon the land. In another Dracula movie, Dracula 2000, Dracula is actually Judas Iscariot, who becomes a vampire as a curse for betraying Christ. But I didn't want to tie my vampires to Judeo-Christian religions or to any human religion, really. Instead, I wanted them to have a religion all their own because it gave me far more freedom and it added grandeur to the 11 immortals, especially Daemon, as he's the greatest of them all. And I think it also is sensible for vampires who have access to beings who are really sort of, godlike or definitely more than humans to have a different view of the world. I mean, why would they look to Jesus when they could look to Seer or Eros or something like that? Now, a friend of mine said, Daemon is really overpowered with all these powers. And I said, no, not really. He's like a vampire god. And when I told her that, she understood what I was going for. Now, we've talked a little bit about how the vampires came into beings. Just to recap, there were the 11 mortals who traveled from the Everdark to Earth countless eons ago, and 10 of these immortals, excluding Daemon until he turned Julian, blessed humans with their blood and turned them into vampires. So after Daemon went into hibernation, the immortals started to war amongst themselves. They made fledglings simply to use as cannon fodder. The vampires rose up against the immortals and overthrew them for this. The vampires claimed to be in contact with Daemon and that he inspired them to rebel. After the overthrow, the Order was created and the worship of Daemon as the great usurper came into being. The Order now is the most powerful branch of vampire. They're the ones that sort of like have the last word on everything. But what would happen to the Order if Daemon returned? Would the Order just hand over all the power to him? After all, they made him into a god. Or would they do everything they could to keep him gone? Well, considering our villain, one of them at least, is the head of the Order, vampire preceptor Caemorn Losis, you can probably guess what the answer to those questions is. But the question then becomes, what does Daemon want? His focus is on his first fledgling, his treasure, his Julian. But when he went to sleep, he was king. He expected to wake up king. And even if his major focus is Julian, if the Order is intent on sending him to his second death, Julian is also in danger from them. You can imagine that after waiting and wanting Julian for so long, that even if Daemon had no interest in being king any longer, he is not going to let the Order harm his fledgling. But as you can see, Everdark then is far more than just a romance. It has religion, politics, power plays. And I wanted the story to be bigger than simply the love angle, even though it's a huge component, because I think it just makes the love angle that much stronger if you set it in a world that is as realistic as possible, even though we're dealing with vampires here. But as always, I want you to check out Everdark for yourself and make your own conclusions. We have the first 10 chapters, about 48,000 words, free to read if you sign up for our mailing list. So go ahead and check that out. Link is in the description and tell me what you think. I love hearing from readers, so feel free to leave comments here or email me. Again, we'll have more on Everdark coming soon. Thanks.